I want to talk a little bit about suffering and how one can be with people who are suffering. I think about this partly because, as I was saying, you can top them with my suffering is worse, even if you're trying to. But and I think a lot of people, like someone who's just died, or a relative, your mother has just died, or in my case, like recently, my dog just died. And so and you come across someone and they know that, but some of them don't want to bring it up. Some of them then want to overdo it. What is the best way to sort of encounter someone who clearly is in a terrible state?
Yeah. Well, first, I know a woman named Mary whose oldest daughter, Anna, died in a horse riding accident in Afghanistan. And then one of her other daughters got in a horrific bike accident in D.C. And so I went over to visit the home while the younger daughter was recuperating. And Mary, the mom, said, people never know whether they should mention Anna, the daughter who died, to me because they don't want to bring up a bad subject. But they should know that Anna is always on my mind. So they should always mention her. And if I feel like talking about her, I will. And if I don't, I won't. And then she said that there are two sorts of people when you suffer this kind of crisis, firemen and builders. The firemen come right away, and they're right there with you in the crisis. And they're almost never the people you expect them to be. There are going to be some close friends who don't show up, and some distant acquaintances who show up, because some people are just shower-uppers. And then there's going to be another set of people who are builders, who will be there for the long months and years afterwards. And so that was one thing. And then she said to me, you know what the best thing that's happened to us since my other daughter, Catherine, got in the bike accident? Somebody came to visit us, brought us some food, then went to the bathroom and noticed there wasn't a shower mat in the bathroom. So they went to Target, they got a shower mat, and they lay it down in the bathroom. They didn't even mention it to us. They just did something practical. And that's the art of presence. And that's one thing. The second thing I say, and I have a chapter in a book which is taken from a piece I did for the Times on the death of my oldest friend in the world. His name is Peter. And for 57 years, he had blessed life, great career as an eye surgeon, great wife, great kids. Then depression hit at 57. And I walked with him for 3 years through that depression, a lot of it over COVID. So we were just speaking by phone. And I consider myself reasonably well educated. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what depression was. I thought it was like extrapolate from my moments of sadness and you get to depression. But that's not true. The best description of depression is Mike Gerson's, which is it's a malfunction in the instrument you use to perceive reality. And so he saw a different reality than non-depressed Pete did. And he had all these lying voices in his head. You're not worth anything. Nobody would miss you if you were gone. Just lies. And so I made a couple communication mistakes that I just mentioned so other people won't make these mistakes. The first was I tried to give him ideas on how he could help the depression lift. So I'd say, you used to go on service trips to Vietnam. Why don't you go do that? And I later learned that giving people ideas on how to lift depression is just another way of saying you don't get it. Because it's not ideas they're missing, it's energy. And so I learned that's bad. And then the other thing I did, which is also a mistake, was positive reframing. So I tried to remind him of all the beautiful things he had in his life, his family, his job. And that just is reminding the depressed person that they're not enjoying the things that are palpably enjoyable. And so you're making them feel worse. And I learned that all you can do in that moment is first say, first of all, I'm so proud of you for your courage because you're still here. You're enduring a lot of pain. You're still here. The second thing is just the regular touch points, texts throughout the day, postcards, just saying I'm here. Your only job there is to recognize the horror of the situation, show you share it, and say I'm sticking around. I'm not leaving. And then the two more controversial things, I read later Viktor Frankl, when he would confront people considering suicide in the death camps that he wrote about in Man's Search for Meaning, he would say, life has not expected things of you. There's still things that you're going to do. And one of those things, and so I wish I'd said that to Pete, like suicide, no, that's not going to be an option here. Life still expects things of you. And then the final thing I would say, there's a great quote from Thornton Wilder, I'm going to butcher it a little, but to paraphrase, without your wound, where would your power be? is the very suffering that makes your low voice tremble in the hearts of men. In love service, only the wounded soldiers can serve. So precisely because you've been through this hard thing, you have a power that, as Thornton Wilder says, even the angels cannot match. And so there are some ideas on how to sit with somebody in suffering, whether it's grief or depression, and to know the futility of words, but the power of presence.